the Crusades and the rise of new religious orders in the Middle Ages. Introduction. A call to serve God in a new way. The Crusades were a defining moment for medieval Christendom, reshaping not only the political and military landscapes, but also the spiritual and institutional structures of the Church. Among the most significant outcomes of the Crusades was the rise of new religious orders that blended monastic discipline with military purpose. These orders, including the Knights Templar, the Knights Hospitaller, and the Teutonic Knights, emerged to protect pilgrims, care for the sick, and defend the Holy Land. These organizations became powerful symbols of Christian piety and martial dedication, influencing the religious, political, and economic life of medieval Europe. This essay explores the origins, missions, and legacies of these new religious orders, weaving historical analysis with fictional narratives to illustrate their impact. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Religious Military Orders. The Need for Protection in the Holy Land. The First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, successfully established the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem, but the region remained unstable and dangerous. Pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land faced the constant threat of attack from bandits and Muslim forces. This precarious situation gave rise to the first religious military orders, which sought to provide protection and aid to travelers. The dual mission, monasticism and knighthood. These new orders combined the contemplative life of monks with the martial duties of knights. Members took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, dedicating themselves to God while actively defending Christendom. Their dual mission reflected the broader spiritual ethos of the Crusades, which framed warfare as a holy duty. A fictional perspective, Brother Hugh's calling. Brother Hugh, a fictional knight who had participated in the First Crusade, found his faith deepened by the experience. After witnessing the suffering of pilgrims near Jerusalem, he joined a group of like-minded knights who vowed to protect travelers. "We are monks of the sword," Hugh wrote to his family. "We pray with our hearts and defend with our hands. In this service, I have found peace." Hugh's journey illustrates the spiritual and practical motivations behind the formation of religious military orders. Chapter 2. The Knights Templar. Origins and Mission. Founded in 1119 by Hugh de Payens and a small group of knights, the Knights Templar were initially tasked with protecting pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. With the support of King Baldwin II of Jerusalem and later Pope Honorius II, the Templars grew rapidly, establishing a vast network of fortresses, estates, and financial operations across Europe and the Holy Land. The Templars adopted a strict code of conduct, symbolized by their white mantles adorned with a red cross. Their motto, Non Nobis, Domini, Non Nobis, sed nomini tua de gloriam. Not to us, Lord, not to us, but to your name give glory, encapsulated their commitment to selfless service, economic and military power. In addition to their military prowess, the Templars became renowned for their financial acumen. They developed early banking systems, allowing pilgrims and crusaders to deposit funds in Europe and withdraw them in the Holy Land. This wealth made the Templars powerful, but also drew suspicion and envy, leading to their dramatic downfall in the early 14th century. A fictional perspective, Hugh's rise in the Templars. Brother Hugh joined the Templars shortly after their founding, serving as a commander in the defense of Acre. His letters revealed the disciplined life of the order. "We rise before dawn to pray, then train until the sun is high," Hugh wrote. "We are not lords, yet kings seek our counsel. We are not merchants, yet our coffers sustain armies. In this, I see the hand of God." Hugh's dedication reflected the ideals that made the Templars a cornerstone of Crusader efforts in the Holy Land. Chapter 3. The Knights Hospitaller. Origins and Mission. The Knights Hospitaller, also known as the Order of St. John, were founded earlier than the Templars, initially as a charitable organization providing care for sick and injured pilgrims in Jerusalem. By the early 12th century, the Hospitallers had expanded their mission to include military duties, defending Christian territories in the Holy Land. The Hospitallers' black mantles with white crosses became a symbol of their dual role as healers and warriors. Unlike the Templars, who focused on direct combat, the Hospitallers placed greater emphasis on caregiving, though they were formidable defenders in battle. Legacy of care. The Hospitallers' emphasis on hospitality and medical care influenced the development of hospitals and charitable institutions across Europe. Their survival through centuries of political upheaval, including the loss of the Holy Land, allowed them to transition into new roles, ultimately becoming the modern sovereign military order of Malta. A fictional perspective, Hugh's encounter with the Hospitallers. During a campaign near Tripoli, Brother Hugh was injured and taken to a Hospitaller infirmary. There, he witnessed the order's dedication to healing. They wield blades and bandages with equal skill, Hugh observed. Their charity is as fierce as their courage. In their hands, even a wounded knight can find hope. Hugh's admiration for the Hospitallers highlighted their unique contribution to the Crusader mission. Chapter 4: The Teutonic Knights. Origins and Mission. The Teutonic Knights were founded during the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, to aid German pilgrims and crusaders in the Holy Land. Like the Templars and Hospitallers, they combined monastic and military functions, wearing white mantles with black crosses. The Teutonic Knights later shifted their focus to Eastern Europe, where they played a central role in the Baltic Crusades, aimed at converting pagan populations in Prussia, Lithuania, and Livonia. Their campaigns in the Baltic region established them as a major political and military force. A fictional perspective, a new frontier. After the fall of Acre, Brother Hugh's nephew joined the Teutonic Knights, seeking a new cause in the Baltic Crusades. In a letter to Hugh, he described the challenges of the northern frontier. "The forests here are dark and unyielding," he wrote. "Yet we bring light with our crosses and swords. The mission is the same, though the land is far from Jerusalem." The nephew's experience reflected the adaptability of the religious orders as they expanded their missions beyond the Holy Land. Chapter 5: The Influence of Religious Orders on Europe. Spiritual and Cultural Impact. The religious orders inspired a renewed emphasis on piety, discipline, and service within medieval Christendom. Their example influenced secular knights, reinforcing the ideals of chivalry and the concept of Milites Christi, soldiers of Christ. Their fortresses, churches, and hospitals became symbols of stability and faith, while their writings and chronicles preserved the history of the Crusades for future generations. Economic and political power. The wealth and influence of the religious orders often made them key players in European politics. The Templars, in particular, served as bankers and advisors to kings, while the Hospitallers maintained diplomatic ties with both Christian and Muslim rulers. A fictional perspective, Hugh's legacy. In his later years, Hugh retired to a monastery in France, where he chronicled his experiences with the Templars and Hospitallers. The temptation of power. As the new religious orders grew in influence, they faced increasing scrutiny and criticism. The Knights Templar, with their vast wealth and independence, became targets of suspicion. Their close ties to European monarchs and financial operations led to accusations of corruption and heresy. This culminated in the dissolution of the Templar Order in 1312 by Pope Clement V under pressure from King Philip IV of France. The Hospitallers, though less controversial, also faced challenges as their military and charitable missions expanded. Balancing their religious vows with their political and economic responsibilities often led to internal tensions. A fictional perspective, Hugh's crisis. In his later years, Brother Hugh witnessed growing discontent among the Templars. In one of his final letters, he lamented the order's drift from its founding ideals. "We were meant to serve God, yet we are now accused of serving only ourselves," Hugh wrote. "Our coffers grow full, but our hearts grow heavy. I fear we have lost our way." Hugh's reflections captured the challenges of maintaining spiritual purity in the face of worldly success. Chapter 7: The Decline of the Religious Orders. The Fall of the Templars. The fall of the Templars in the early 14th century marked the end of the most iconic religious military order of the Crusades. Accused of heresy, idolatry, and corruption, many Templars were arrested, tortured, and executed. Their wealth was confiscated, and their lands were redistributed, primarily to the Hospitallers. The Templar tragedy highlighted the dangers of accumulating too much power and wealth in an era of growing centralized monarchies. The Hospitallers and the Teutonic Knights. The Hospitallers and Teutonic Knights adapted to the changing political landscape, transitioning their missions to new frontiers. After the fall of Acre in 1291, the Hospitallers moved their base of operations to Rhodes, where they continued to defend Christendom until their eventual relocation to Malta. The Teutonic Knights focused their efforts on the Baltic Crusades, consolidating power in Prussia and Livonia. A fictional perspective, the fall of Hugh's order. Brother Hugh's nephew, now a commander in the Teutonic Knights, described the order's struggles in the Baltic region. "Our mission is no longer clear," he wrote. "We fight not for Jerusalem, but for lands and lords. Yet, I hold fast to my vows, for they are all that remain of what we once were." His words reflected the challenges faced by the religious orders as their missions shifted away from the Holy Land. Chapter 8: Broader Impacts of the Religious Orders. Spiritual influence. The new religious orders left a profound spiritual legacy, inspiring other movements within the Church. Their emphasis on discipline, service, and charity influenced monastic reforms and the rise of new devotional practices across Europe. The orders also played a key role in preserving and disseminating Christian teachings through their writings and chronicles. Economic contributions. The economic activities of the Templars and Hospitallers, including their banking systems and land management, helped lay the foundations for modern financial institutions. Their innovations in logistics and supply chain management during the Crusades also influenced the development of trade networks. Military innovations. The orders introduced new military techniques and technologies, such as improved fortification designs and coordinated battlefield strategies. Their experiences in the Holy Land shaped European warfare for centuries, influencing the development of standing armies and professionalized military structures.